Hello everyone, a quick introduction. Myself Shri Mandal and my teammates are not yet here but they'll be joining us in some time. I'm sure by now you might have guessed by the topic that we are going to study supply chain during COVID through lean manufacturing, and we have this topic because I think and I know many of you will agree with me that this is the fresh piece in the plate right now. Okay, if we look into a topic, it includes three main activities that gradually connects with each other. So the first one is supply chain, second is COVID, and the third is lean manufacturing. So supply chain is a network between a company and its suppliers that includes various steps right from the very beginning to the end till the product reaches to its buyer. Whereas lean manufacturing is a process that mainly focuses on minimizing the waste and maximizing the productivity simultaneously. And COVID, I don't think I need to explain about the COVID because it has been so much into our life, so much into this year that we have all faced such scenarios that we have never imagined. In some places, people were losing lives. In some places, people were losing jobs. So it was a very weird situation for us. Comment down below how was your experience in this whole COVID thing. And before starting, I would like to thank our guide, Mr. Mukesh Singh, who is our faculty. And yes, we are from mechanical department. As you can see, you can guess by my t-shirt right now. So without any further delay, let's get into the video.
Before we begin with our report, it is important to completely figure out what actually lean manufacturing stands for and why is lean thinking so prevalent in the modern current economics of sale. To remain competitive, agile, and the lowest cost producers, providers, and streamline business, getting rid of waste and being highly consistently and sustainable is key for survival and thriving in this new economy. Improving efficiency in manufacturing requires embracing digital in innovative ways. But even more essential is adopting a culture of continuous improvement. 21st century manufacturing is characterized by customized products. And the goal of lean manufacturing is to be highly responsive to customer demand by reducing waste. Lean manufacturing aims at producing products and services at the lowest cost and as fast as required by the customer. The lean concept originated in Japan after the Second World War, where Japanese manufacturers realized that they cannot afford the massive investment required to rebuild devastated facilities. Toyota produced automobiles with lesser inventory, human effort, investment, and defects, and introduced a greater and ever growing variety of products. Lean manufacturing gives the manufacturers a competitive edge by reducing costs and improving productivity and quality. Let's move on to the literature review of our topic. As I mentioned, that a pandemic should not be considered only as a health disruption state but also should be seen as a global concern for living and stock management. A pandemic not only affects health but mainly results in any country's system breakout. And so, a COVID-19 was not just a health breakdown period but even a step forward of how a country deals with its system and its management. Before moving further onto the detailed connection between COVID-19 and the lean manufacturing system, it should be taken into account that how a pandemic affects the system for which the reports of the previous pandemic fall must be put under consideration. In this report, the examples that we have taken are Spanish flu in 1918, Asian flu in 1957, and COVID-19. Let's talk about Spanish flu. The Spanish flu millions deaths worldwide. 1918 flu was first observed in Europe. Research on the economic effects of Spanish flu is limited by the lack of economic statistics for this era. The effects were large. For example, the Arkansas Gazette newspaper in October 1918 was reporting a 30% fall in grocery sales and a 40 to 70% fall in sales at merchants and department stores. At the time, sales of medical drugs and mattresses were surging. The commercial appeal was reporting that severe labor shortages were affecting industrial output. Next, we have Asian flu. Starting in Hong Kong and spreading throughout China and then into the United States, the Asian flu became widespread in England, where over 6 months 14,000 people died. A second wave followed in early 1958, causing an estimated total of about 1.1 million deaths globally. A vaccine was developed, effectively containing the pandemic. Let's come to our very own COVID-19. COVID-19 has led to trillion-dollar losses for workers around the world. A new study estimates that already this year, global income has declined by 10.7%, a loss of around 3.5 trillion. 41 lakh youth lost job in India due to COVID-19 pandemic. According to the report, as of the latest GDP projections, close to 7 million students from primary and secondary education could drop out of school. And as COVID was at its peak, some people were fighting their own battle. Some were losing lives while some was losing jobs. One thing that gradually increased during this pandemic was online purchase, and this was unusual and special about this pandemic as it created opportunities at various sectors. Let's move on to methodology of our report.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, I'm explaining about methodology. A methodology is the design process for carrying out research or the development of a procedure, and it is not in itself an instrument or method or procedure for doing things. So, first of all, methodology is a tiding. It has been reported all past outline and all possible outcome of how COVID has influenced not only health hardship is every aspect, especially in the manufacturing sector. So, in the first sentence, we have learned about that how methodology is important in lean manufacturing during COVID and after COVID. So COVID-19 and the ensuing economic shutdown have put an enormous strain on manufacturing, even though the individuals are in the midst of mobilization unlike anything in recent history. So as we all see that in COVID, manufacturing is difficult for all the sectors in manufacturing cause there are a lot of issues that there is no transportation and no raw materials. So the industries organization and doing everything they can do they can to scale production in spite of breaking supply chains, labor limitation and rapidly shifting demand. So industries are trying too hard for not stopping the work production in spite of breaking supply chains, labor limitation and rapidly shifting demands. In the last decade, manufacturing market have grown extraordinarily complex. It is truism that supply chains are more complex than even before. So as we clearly seen that the company are trying too hard to not break the supply chain and to adapt lean manufacturing in which cost cutting is too much important. And at the last, the Indian automotive industry has already seen difficult past few quarters, and this pandemic-led lockdown couldn't have been more ill-timed.
Now, applications of methodology. These are the following applications that should be taken under consideration. Increasing customer uncertainty. That means companies should understand their opportunities and risk economic measures accordingly. Also, companies should aggressively focus on activity going on in the market and working capitals, tracking the shift in consumer behavior. It means, as we all know, that without a doubt, consumer behavior have changed across several categories. Peoples are more likely to shift towards online platform, so the company should sell their products more and more on online platform. Now, shift to safe retailing. COVID-19 has driven customers to prioritize health and supply chain safety over cost and convenience. Customers today are more willing to buy from companies that are making visible steps to curb the spread of this virus within their scope of operations and beyond. Managing product portfolio. Companies with mix of products. Companies There are so many companies which are producing goods not in one or two form of product, but in mixture. So these companies need to evaluate their own product mix and define business priorities. This is particularly critical in cases where these products share resources in terms of raw materials, manufacturing infrastructure, selling space, teams, etc. Now, there are now four actions to build resilience and reshape results. These are the four actions that should be taken into consideration to build resilience. For number one is put people safety first. Second is communication with the stakeholders. Third, reshape strategy to maintain a business community. Build for number four, build resilience and prepare for recovery. Now, moving on to the results. As per the result, it is observed that COVID-19 was not just a health disruption state, but also should be seen as global concern for living and stock management. At COVID was at its peak, some fighting with their own battles, some were losing lives while some were losing jobs. Uh, one thing that gradually increased during the pandemic was online purchase, and this was unusual and special about this pandemic as it created opportunities at various sectors.